Imagine if Canada doesn't just purchase foreign fighter jets, but actually builds them on our own soil. Imagine reviving the same spirit that created the Avro Aero, a time when Canada stood at the top of the aerospace world and pushed boundaries in ways that made even the superpowers nervous. Today, we're diving into what Canada would gain if we partnered with Sweden to build the Saab Gripen here at home, not just buying aircraft, but rebuilding a sovereign aerospace ecosystem that could last for generations. This isn't fantasy. Sweden has already offered industrial partnerships and co-production deals to other countries, and Canada's got the talent, the geography, and the history to join them. I'm your host, Pierre Shields, and this is North of MAGA. Let's break down exactly what we stand to gain. Canada used to lead. Canada wasn't always the country that imported everything. We once built the world's most advanced aircraft, the Avro Aero. In the 1950s, Canadian engineers were pushing the limits of avionics, aerodynamics, materials, and design at a level that rivaled the United States, the United Kingdom, and France. The world noticed, and that's partly why the program was dismantled. Back then, our Canadian talent was quickly sucked up by Boeing, Lockheed, and all of their happy little friends. But today, Canada still has enormous aerospace capacity, with major players like Bombardier, CAE, MDA, Pratt & Whitney Canada, and Aero DevTech. Yet, despite all this, we haven't attempted a national fighter jet program since. Choosing Gripen cooperation would be our first step towards rebuilding real industrial sovereignty. Why the Gripen is the best platform for Canada. We've been over this many, many times, so I'm not going to kill you with all of the details, but I'm going to put some links up here or down there, or there'll be links someplace. What Canada would gain by building the Gripen here. Number one, building the Gripen in Canada would revive our aerospace industry base almost overnight. It would create thousands of high-tech jobs across manufacturing, engineering, avionics, materials, simulation, and software. It would spread supply chain work across Ontario, Quebec, Alberta, and Manitoba. Most importantly, it would help Canada rebuild the engineering culture we lost when the Aero was cancelled. Instead of watching our best talent leave for Boeing, Lockheed, and SpaceX, we'd finally give them a reason to build world-class aircraft here at home. Number two, regaining true defense sovereignty. Right now, Canada's fighter jets depend on foreign approval for almost everything: software, weapons integration, even maintenance updates. We can't operate independently even if we want to. If Canada co-produced the Gripen, that changes. We'd maintain and upgrade our aircraft domestically. We'd be able to integrate third-party weapons without waiting for Washington. We'd develop our own software and electronic warfare packages. For the first time in decades, Canada would have the authority to make decisions on its own timeline. Number three, real Arctic readiness. Gripen aircraft are already designed for northern latitudes similar to Canada's, with extreme cold, long periods of darkness, and remote airfield logistics. Building them here would let us tailor the jet specifically for NORAD operations. We could strengthen northern bases, ensure rapid response capability, and secure our Arctic approaches, an area becoming more critical as global powers shift their focus north. Number four, supply chain independence. Right now, Canada can't even store long-term spare parts for its fighter fleet without foreign approval. A domestic Gripen production line ends this dependency entirely. Canada would store, produce, and supply its own components. We'd never again be stuck waiting for parts or software patches during a diplomatic dispute. For national security, it's a must. Number five, real technology transfer and engineering growth. Sweden's tech transfer model is built on genuine partnership. They train engineers, share code, provide access to design tools, and let partners assemble, maintain, and modernize the aircraft independently. If Canada accepted this, we'd rebuild long-term engineering capability that strengthens our universities, research centers, and aerospace firms for decades. We'd also become a global hub for Gripen maintenance and modernization. Number six, tens of thousands of sustainable jobs. A national fighter program affects far more than aerospace. It supports materials manufacturing, advanced machining, precision engineering, digital simulation, artificial intelligence, composite materials, logistics, and dozens of secondary industries. These aren't temporary jobs. They're career-long, multi-generation, high-income positions that anchor local economies for 30 to 40 years. Number seven, becoming an export nation again. If Canada builds Gripens, we could export parts or even complete aircraft to the global market. Countries in Latin America, Europe, and Asia have already shown interest. A second assembly line in Canada would make us a major contributor to global defense exports, bringing billions back into our economy. Number eight, interoperability without dependence. Canada would stay fully interoperable with NORAD and NATO. The Gripen supports the same missiles, data links, and communication standards, but unlike other Western jets, it doesn't lock operators into a single supplier or a single approval chain. Canada would finally be interoperable without being dependent. The real impact on Canadians. If Canada builds a Gripen here, the economic benefits stay in Canada instead of being sent overseas. The Arctic, would finally get equipment designed for its environment instead of aircraft we're constantly retrofitting just to tolerate the cold. Our economy would grow through high-tech jobs and new manufacturing capacity. And more importantly, Canadians would regain sovereignty over one of the most critical instruments of national defense, our fighter fleet. Takeaway: Canada's at a crossroads. We can keep outsourcing our defense, our industry, and our aerospace future to foreign suppliers, or we can take Sweden up on its offer. We can build a Gripen here, rebuild our aerospace industry, create generational opportunity, and lead again in a field we used to dominate. This is our chance to revive what the Arrow represented: technological courage. And this time, we do it on our own terms. If you believe Canada can build more than it buys and that we deserve an aerospace sector worthy of our history, hit like, tap subscribe, and share this video with anyone who thinks Canada is too small to build world-class technology. We proved them wrong once, and we can do it again. Don't forget to check out my merchandise in the description below. Thanks for spending time with me. I'm Pierre Shields, and this has been North of MAGA. Go play outside.